Alrighty, folks, it's November. Can you believe it's November already? I thought what we should do here in November is take the opportunity to speak with Dana Dumfort, CEO of Hemlane, about her 24,000 units under a little bit of a special twist. How about surprises new landlords get? Dana, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back on this week.
24,000 units. That is amazing. It really just shows the value that Hemlane brings, the leadership you've had since the beginning. So first off, congratulations. That's a big milestone.
Great. Thanks so much. And yes, we've seen it all, I would say. After 24,000 rentals, we've seen it all.
There you go. Well, why don't we play the game of ping pong where we go back and forth two or three times about surprises new landlords may see. What do you got first, Dana?
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise for new landlords is that I've personally seen
Mhm.
is the shock of how much you need to know and how detailed tenant landlord law is. And the reason that I bring that up is everything else kind of plays off of that. There will be a landlord that says, like, wait, what are you talking about? I can't just change the locks or cut off the utilities if a tenant stops paying rent. Or what do you mean that I can't be charging this amount in my security deposit? So there's all these aha, got you shock moments. And every time I hear them, it all has to do with the law. It all has to do with, hey, you revert back to the lease and what your state says. Like, we're here in California. Actually, I think you're in Vegas now, but back and forth. But even breaking leases, like, hey, your tenant can break the lease if they can find someone to take over the lease. Certain things like that, where if you know all of that, there's not as much of a shock when it comes to you and you don't discover it later because they get this anxiety. And then from there, they have to do the research and the shock is still there and it wears in later. So I think that's like from like an all-encompassing perspective, that's the first one.
Yeah, my first one is, and I admit this, I mean, this was me day one, right? So I admit this with full ownership. Real estate investing and certainly landlording is a people business.
Mhm.
No matter how hard you want to make it about the Excel, no matter how hard you want to make it about sticks and bricks, it's a people business. And the sooner you understand that and adopt the rules around that, the better off you will be. Because again, people lie. Bad stuff happens in lives. And you could get got if you think the answer lives in Excel, yeah, you're gonna get got. Because again, contractors and agents and lemons, real estate's a people game, and I was certainly surprised by that because it's probably 90-10 people business, 10% kind of, math. And that was my first embarrassing gotcha.
Yeah, I love that one because it is all about the people. It goes back to that. That is people business. You have to be good with other people. Everything from knowing exactly how to see the other viewpoint to finding something mutually beneficial between a vendor and a tenant and all of that.
Yeah.
I completely agree. My second one is based on the market
Mhm.
and that the market changes. And
Oh,
here is
yeah.
why. I'll give two examples. You will hear a landlord say, "Oh, but I just furnished the rental and I want it to be a midterm rental or a short-term rental." And of course, the tenants are going to come or the bookings are going to come. Or, "Hey, but this is the rental rate I got 2 years ago," or that they said I could get, like, from 2 years ago where a tenant was in the property. So much of it is based on market conditions today and localized market conditions. Just because it says rental rates are going up across the nation doesn't mean that's true in your area. Just because they say Airbnbs are really popular in Austin doesn't mean that may be your area. And
Yeah.
so when you're looking at your property, you have to understand and tap into what is happening with my market right now. And new landlords, it's almost this shock factor. Well, someone said I could get this rental rate, or to your point, my Excel tells me I can get
Yeah,
this rental rate.
exactly.
And it's not what your Excel says, it's what the market says. It's a supply demand like economics 101 basically. And so from that perspective, you really have to know your market. And just because you knew the market 2 to 3 years ago or what someone said, the market's changing very quickly. We've seen that over the past 12 months here.
Yeah, my next one is I've actually seen this twice in the last 20 years. Um, Back when I got started, actually, it was probably 2005. Real estate kind of got this real estate never goes down, it only goes up. It got easy. Obviously, a lot of that was just stupid lending going on. Then obviously that blew up. We just saw it again with, syndications and multifamily and financial engineering and Airbnb arbitrage and all these times. So I've seen real estate is easy
Mhm.
twice in 22 years. It's never easy. It's never easy. It takes work. It takes being a good operator. You will have bad days. Yes, a couple people got really, really lucky the last couple of years with timing. It was not skill, but a lot more people will be hurt than got out in time. The game of musical chairs is over. So I just want people to realize real estate's never easy. It's
Yep.
great. It's wonderful. It's the greatest path to wealth, but it's never easy. That's
Yep.
my number two. What do you got for the last one?
My last one is the time investment.
Ooh, I like that. Yes.
And it's sort of following on your point of it's never easy. Once you have a very good repeatable process in place, then you can start saying, okay, this can be a bit more passive. But at the onset for a landlord, they are surprised by how much they have to do, how much back and forth they have to get things set up, make sure they have the proper move-in guide, make sure they've done the inspection, all of these certain checklist items that will help them in the future, help both them and the tenant with communication. There's a lot to get set up. A lease, you have to go to a real estate attorney to get a specific one. And even if you're using a traditional property manager, there's still the research that goes into one, finding the right property manager, and then so building your team essentially. And then on top of that, hey, they need all this information from you on the property as well. And so no matter what you do, there's the time investment to get set up. And there's almost this concept of, great, I'm going to put it on Zillow, advertise it, and the tenants are going to come, and I'm not going to have to do anything else. I just get rent in my bank account. And they don't realize that so much of that leasing, of finding and placing a tenant, there's so much work up front. And a lot of times they're thinking this is a lot of time, but the other thing is, how much is your time worth and how much are you spending on it? So really knowing how to optimize things, I would say, would be really important.
Yeah, my final one is actually what Hemlane brings to the market. The amount of audit trail,
Mhm.
communication, automating routine tasks like advertising, write it once, publish it many, bringing on artificial intelligence to help with structure and advertising and all of those things is so helpful. I can't tell you, when we started with fax machines and mailing invoices, photocopies of invoices and, trying to keep track of emails for communications with tenants, it's a disaster. So the fact that Hemlane does that, natively as a core function and then take the advertising, you really are making mom and pop landlords 100 times more effective. You're giving them the level of security um, with the audit trail. It's I just it's just night and day. I feel like a caveman looking back at what we were doing 20 years ago. Oh, I got a file folder and I got this thing I got to track. Oh, it's just mind numbing. And now it's just all on my phone. So Himlane's there, 24,000 units prove it's working. So that's my last one. What do you think?
Great. I know, I love it. And it's so true. I mean, that's the goal of Hemlane, right? Is to provide a very seamless experience, take all the things we mentioned, the pain points, and say, how do we make it a better experience? And something that's never existed in the market.
Yeah.
That's why you innovate, is to build something new.
Yeah. I'm so glad to be one of your first phone calls way back when saying, "What do you need, caveman?" You didn't say that. I'm twisting the facts a little bit. But yeah, we were talking very early on to see what you've brought is amazing. If somebody is a landlord or thinking about being a landlord and they want to play with it, where do we send them?
Yeah, we have a 14-day trial. So you can go to www.hemlane.com and mention one rental at a time because you get 20% off your first year.
Wow. Folks, go to hemlane.com, do the 14-day trial. Even if you don't have a unit, practice being a landlord. Practice being a landlord. Dana, you're amazing. The team's amazing. Congratulations again. 24,000 units. Awesome.
Thanks for having me.